We will be releasing a hotline next week for people to report harassment, especially by managers who are forcing our girls to sleep with them so they can get jobs or get promotions, and even firing them. And I hear pia, nimepigiwa simu na pia some of your people in media who are facing the same problem. So don't be afraid to talk to me.
ETV Africa News at this hour.
Put headlines of countries, the countries panic, and they slow down in provision of visas for our people. So it's very important that you also get both sides of the story before you mention foreign countries, because they can lock out Kenyans. Because they're asking, why are we mentioned in Kenya? We're never mentioned in Uganda. We're not mentioned in South Africa. Why Kenya? So it's also good to think responsibly. You may also be cutting short the opportunities of many of our struggling people. That's just a community service request. It is not an order, just a request for you to consider how you do these diplomatic things. Very, very important, especially when you are questioning something that there is actually a real story of what is going on. But you're only getting one side of the story and running with it because it is sensational. Number two, before they can get a few passports, I give them passports here while they are traveling. Some of these visas came out 2 weeks ago. They have been in process. Some people have already traveled today. Others traveled last week. Hata ikelele kiendelea, people are still traveling. And we're not going to stop. Mimi, my eyes are on the ball. Mimi nimejua hii mambo. Hii kukua distracted sijuangi mimi. My eyes are on the ball. I'm going to... Na mwisho kabisa, public service announcement. We will be releasing a hotline next week for people to report harassment, especially by managers who are forcing our girls to sleep with them so they can get jobs or get promotions, and even firing them. And I hear pia, nimepigiwa simu na pia some of your people in media who are facing the same problem. So don't be afraid to talk to me if you're facing the same problem. And so we'll be having a hotline, and we will be able to ensure that, you know, some of us have daughters who are mature. You know, we have sons who are mature. And I don't want my son anaenda hapo. Some of you have boyfriends, have girlfriends. Anapata kazi, unamuona ameenda amepata kazi, ameandikwa for 2 weeks, yuko gloomy kwa sababu hataki kukwambia ile vitu alienda kufanya huko ndio apate kazi. Na nyinyi mnajenga nyumba. So this is something that is, sexual harassment is a reality. We have to deal with it. So I'm compiling names of companies. So next week tunaweza announce a few companies that are notorious for some of these behaviors. But we get the hotline so that we can be able, as a government, we can be able to combat this. And we look at regulations and see how we can arrest. Ndio hao wengine hao predators. These are predators. Waekwe pingu. Kwa hivyo manager, mali huko, saa hii unafikiria funga zip. Nuende nyumbani kwa bibi yako. Wacha kusumbua wasichana wetu. You know, ama we mama, waharia na wengine wachana vijana wetu. You know, wacha vijana wafanye kazi. Si ni ukweli hiyo? Wanasumbuliwa sana hao vijana. Wanaambiwa wako na stamina. So wako na shida sana. Wanasumbuliwa sana so that wasonge mahali. So, asante sana. Let me just do this. I decided, I talked to the Senate before coming here, and I said I'll issue a statement. I don't want to go outside the realms of anything that I'll say in the Senate.
Is this based on what you've said here?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically maybe you can just help us define what you mean when you say they need to be patient. Because some of them came in October, they got the interview, they got the offer letters, and they're still waiting up until this time. Some of them say their lives have been totally derailed.
Let me just put it this way.
They have loans that they're supposed to be paying, but they haven't seen any movement from you.
Let me say this. So, if you came in October, and some traveled immediately because the positions were open. Others traveled 3 months later. Others traveled later. So, if you came in October, it's a job opportunity. It is not a guarantee of life. It's a job opportunity, which you yourself can change your mind not to go. That's obvious. So we came in October, and it has taken long for the visa to come out. It is not the fault of the agency here. It's an employer who says, this time I want to take so many. You know? And we made it clear to them at the very beginning, saying these jobs, some of them may even take a year to go. For example, people who are nurses, they still are going through exams. And it will take a year for them to go through the relevant exams, bureau exams, before they can travel. So tunasema, hii mambo mtu anasema ati maisha yake iliharibika because they were offered a job. You know, you are offered a job. So you wait for the job. You can be offered a job at your media house today, and you're told, wait, you've been offered a job. That doesn't mean that if the job does not come tomorrow or a week later or 2 months later, maisha yako imesambaratika. I mean, let's be realistic. So you are offered a job, be patient. If you feel you don't want to go, just come and say, give me back the money I paid. I don't want to go anymore. I'll use that money for something else. If somebody does not give you back your money, come to me. We'll make sure they give you back your money or they get to jail. That's my role, so that nobody feels that. Lakini story ati yo maisha yangu imeharibika, I was offered a job. Hapana, you offered a job, but you've not traveled yet. You know? So don't, that excuse, I don't buy it. Ya kwamba, ati because you offered a job and you are still waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you've not traveled, ati maisha imesambaratika. Because before you offer the job, there's something you're doing. So if you don't want to go, return. But my job is to ensure that we speed up. But I cannot tell another country how fast to issue a visa. If you're going to Australia, for example, a visa processing for going to work takes a minimum of 6 to 7 to 8 months, just the visa. And then you have to do all the other medicals, you have to do English second test. So it takes time. So just because you've gotten a job offer doesn't mean you're traveling tomorrow. And if you're impatient, and you're running to the media, then we are starting to think maybe that attitude is not the right attitude to represent us diplomatically outside this country. He had his hands up here.
My name is Omalwa from West TV. I have 2 questions. Maybe from October last year when you conducted the interviews, up to today, how many Kenyans have been offered jobs and how many are going today? Secondly, what further action are you taking? Are there any arrests on the unregistered or the companies that the agencies that were deregistered, or is the registration punishment enough?
What happens? Let me answer your last question. It's 2 things. You're deregistered, and we give your name to the DCI. But you see, prosecutions are based on complaints. So people have to go and write statements. As you heard, some people are afraid to write statements because some of these people are, you know, they get threatened by some of these agencies. That is where we come in to say we want to speed it up. Like the young man who is in hiding is afraid because of an agency that is not registered. You know what I mean? So people at times are afraid to go write a statement and to go to court. So it becomes very difficult to prosecute that person. But we are taking action, and we will see some files, people being charged very, very quickly. When we interviewed people, we had about close to 3,000 people are pre-qualified for jobs. Then they went back and they have given us, I think we are close now to maybe 1,000 job offers, and they keep on coming because the recruitment was done for projects. And so, for example, you're hired as a driver and you're hired to work at a hotel, and they're constructing that hotel. And that hotel has a construction delay of 6 months. There's no way you can be given a visa when ukakae hapo nalipa mshahara, yet the job has not kicked in yet. So they'll only issue you a visa when the position is open, when they're ready. Others are delayed because of processes. We are competing with other countries. So for example, they go and they have accommodation. They go and get accommodation maybe for people from India, and then they realize the only accommodation left is where you're going to share with people from India and other people. They say they prefer Kenyans living as Kenyans in one place, you know, to avoid, you know, hii mambo ya cultural differences na vita mtu anapika chakula usiku mkilala ujui what, you know, vitu vingine hiyo. So at times they say we don't have enough space for your people, give us 2 months, we get the space, then they're going to come, because most of these jobs accommodation is provided, a lot of things are provided. So that's why I say let's be patient. Let's be patient. Kuna huyu alikuwa anauliza swali hapa. Yes.
How far back was the prosecution?
Who is me?
Clive Ayuko, I represent the Whistling African, which is an online news portal. You mentioned something on prosecutions. How far back will this prosecutions go? Because it's a recurring news that will be... You
know, I think the challenge we faced, and that's a very good question, is that we haven't seen substantial prosecution. And that's a big problem, and we are addressing it as a government. When I got into this docket, I was hoping that within a month I would have people go into jail. But it's taken too long. But it's an issue we are addressing. It's an issue I've brought it up even in my cabinet meetings. So it's an issue that we are dealing with. Swali lingine, maybe lastly.
Fetchikanga is my name from the Voice So I just want to know, because some of the people from the first lot do complain that upon inquiry about the booking, they are being told that they are being asked for extra fee from the 55,000 they expected.
No, they're talking to the wrong people. Yeah. Because unajua, si ni ukweli? Yeah. Ni mululizo extra fee? Hakuna? Yeah, either they're talking to the wrong person or they're lying to you. Yeah, because the fee was broken down in terms of service fee, what you need to do for your medicals, the double x-rays and all that. Umeelewa? So it's actually a fee that is actually being used not to profit anybody, but to actually process you, to pay for the visa and get all those things done. So mtu anasema anauliza pesa ingine, they're talking to the wrong person. Maybe ni watu wa kando kando trying to con them. But I don't believe that is happening. Sante sana. Media house? No, media house? Yes, which media house? They are quite, we have got about, I think, 60.
The 60 is traveling tomorrow.
They are flying tomorrow.
You are free to come and...
You are free to come and say they are going for the first time.
First-timers.
They are first timers. A lot of them are first timers. But we had the DP flagged off over 300. Another time I flagged off another 100. So they are going every week, even new timers. So they travel every week. So we'll get them to give you your testimonies. Others are repeat, where you come back, you get a job again, and you go to that country. So others are going back, but majority of here are going back for the first time. Others here, they are telling me, they were telling me, I know some of them are here, I don't know. When we were recruiting them, fika airport, wacha hata ndege. Airport, wanaonanga tiko. Wanaonanga tu ndege ikifly. They have never, some of them are going for the very first time, and it's changing their lives. So I just want to just give a few to these people who are traveling, who are here just as an example. Kabaya.